welcome back. So this is section 2 of our chapter here. A very important section. Let's get right into it. Time values. So the length or duration of a note varies depending on how it looks. And we're not always going to want to have sound. We might want to have silence. So we'll use a rest symbol for a corresponding duration of silence. Now, why do we want timing anyways? Well, of course, we want beats, we want rhythm, we want cool stuff to add into our music. This is a lot of rules. Yes, it feels like it's rigid and it's going to box us in, but it's actually to give us all the options in the world. Anything our heart desires in terms of a rhythm, we'll be able to do it with this system. Okay, so let's look at these note symbols and their corresponding durations. This is a very rare symbol here, the brev note, and it looks just like a whole note, except it's going to have those two little lines on the side of it. And then here's the corresponding brev rest, and each of these get 8 counts. It's extremely rare. I've never encountered it in any piece of music that I've played before, but just in case, I put it in there. Now, this is where we're a lot more in common territory here, the whole note. You see this all the time. And any other note following down this list, these are very important to know and to recognize very well. So our whole note, it's basically the note with a hole in it and the corresponding whole rest. And each of these, if we place it in the music, it would get 4 counts. So it's twice as fast, if you want to think of, compared to the brev note. The brev note is twice as long. Then we get the half note. It looks exactly like the whole note, except now we've added a stem to it. And then here we get the corresponding half rest. And each of these would be worth 2 counts when written in our music. The quarter note, it looks exactly like the half note, but now we've filled in that center. And then here is the quarter rest. Each of those would get 1 count. The 8th note, it looks exactly like a quarter note yet again, but we've added the flag to it. And here is our corresponding 8th rest. They each get half of a count. And the 16th note is exactly like an 8th note, but now it's got 2 flags. And the 16th note now has 2 of those things on it to represent. They're very similar, as you can see. The 8th note, this one has 1 on the rest, and then the 16th one has 2 flags, and then it has 2 of these on the rest. So the 16th note gets a quarter count. And then a 32nd note, we'll just add a 3rd flag to it, and we'll add a 3rd one of these onto the rest. And those will get 1/8 of a count. I like to look at these kind of like a seed, and then it grows or evolves from that original seed of the whole note, like I was describing it. It adds a stem, it fills in, it keeps growing, it grows a leaf, it grows a second, and then a 3rd leaf. So that's just my way of looking at it. And another way that we like to look at this, a lot of teachers, including myself, we love this chart. It's the subdividing chart. So we can really see how we're going down into sub-levels. That's why we call it subdividing. And every time I divide by 2, so my whole note here, it gets 4 counts. And if I divide 4 in half, well, I get 2 counts. So, and if I divide that equally in half, I'm going to get 1 half note over here, and my other half note over here, because the 2 of them together equal the 4 total counts. If I take the half note again and I split that into 2, well, I get 1 count for each of these quarter notes. And on and on and on. So I split the quarter note in half. And then I take one of my 8th notes and I split that in half. And then you see this pyramid form, or subdividing. So when we're writing our time values on the page, here are some tables of the relative time values, just to get a a little familiar with it here together. So like I was saying, the brev note is worth 8 counts. So the equal value to that would be, for example, I can make other combinations if I wanted, but we'll just keep it simple for here, is that 2 whole notes, each of them worth 4 counts. 4 plus 4 equals 8 counts. Here is 4 counts for a whole note, and then the half note is 2, and then that guy is 2, so 2 plus 2 equals 4, of course, yes. You thought I was going to say 5, I bet. No, it equals 4. It always equals 4 in music. That's the beautiful thing about music. No unexpected things. Like other things in life, we sometimes encounter 2 plus 2 equals 5. No, not in music. Okay, all joking aside, let's get right back to this. We get the equivalent here. This is the exact same thing, but done for silence. So a brev rest here would equal 2 whole notes. 4 counts for the whole note, 4 counts, so 4 plus 4 equals 8 total counts for a brev rest. And on and on. I'm not going to go through it all. You can just check it out. You can double check my math, make sure there's no mistakes in there. One thing I do want to explain here is that when you get an 8th note and it's one flag like that, and then this guy over here, I put the plus sign because it's more of a chart and we're just adding things up here, but in reality, I should have written it like this. It's a lot easier on the eye, and it's because this flag, they each have one flag, right? And it's like their flags, instead of just being down like that, their flags come up and join together over here. Same for these guys here. So I just wanted to show you, like, that's a more correct way. Here we're just doing like a math problem. Here, this is actually how we would write out the music correctly. There's one other really cool way that I like to look at this. This thing here. This chart can be very, it's just a chart. What does it really mean to me, right? Well, let's look at that chart, but as if it was a tape measure, right? And the green line is going to represent the duration of our note. And you can see how the brev note that gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 counts here up top, that's a very long note. Compared to the whole note, it's just half as long, the whole note. And then you can see how we keep cutting down in half the length or duration of each note. And you can see how that 30-second note is very, very short. Let's take a look at that again, but just zoomed in a little more, a little easier to see this way. So here we have it. And again, every subdivision, like I was saying, you could see here, it's literally we're cutting it in half. So half of the whole note is the half. You can see the name even says it as well. The whole note is taking up this whole 4 count. The half note is half as long. The quarter note is 1/4 of this one, and on and on. So their names are mathematical in nature. They describe this here. So the 30-second note, as you could see, it would take 32 of them to fill all this in, because there's 32 little tiny spaces in there in our musical grid. So you see, this tape measure just lets us see the musical grid in this whole other way, and I think it's very useful to keep that in the back of your mind. That basically takes us to the end of this video. I thank you for watching, and I'd like to invite you to our school community where you can get some hands-on and PDFs and start to write all this stuff out and really put it to use, because if you just talk about it and sit here and watch a video, it's not nearly as good as actually applying it. So I'd like you to check out the link in the description below, and I invite you to come and meet us there on school. I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.